Perfect.
So, like,
So as I'm talking, you're comprehending it. But right now, you're like, oh, did I just hear the word liberty? Did I just hear the word horse? Again, the first instinct is really what it is. And I want to hear the silly things too. So if you hear drop it like it's hot, I want to know that you heard drop it like it's hot. Does that make sense? All right, so where are we? I guess first thing is all of you communication device people, I'm not going to be giving you questions here like what color was George Washington's white horse, right? So with the big red barn like what we did over there, you're going to get the answers from your communication devices. So we're at the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion site. So their mansion used to sit in the front of this space facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with 5 Church Restaurant, came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So that's the layout of the land. So who were these people? Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 Chucks. We need to know which one we're talking to, which is exactly why we look for secondary clues. We might get the name Charles. I don't know which one until we have a secondary verifier. However, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a big deal for us, but I hate politics. We're going to move on. And Cohen doesn't want to talk politics either, do you? I didn't think so. Oh, that's important. So we're going to talk about Eliza. She has a way cooler story. You guys have been here for at least a day that I know of. This is all going to start to click for you really, really fast. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards. So if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, don't expect numbers like 12 and 14 from colonial times where she came from. Think of today's standards. The reason I say that is because her husband was over double her age when they married. It was a creepy age gap back then, a creepy age gap now. So just kind of put that in perspective. But she married him because her father was over in England, where she's from, and he thought he was dying. He's trying to bring all of his children home one last time so he could see him. Eliza didn't believe he was dying, so instead, she stays put and gets married. It's 1744. You don't get married in that year to get a green card. We're not a country yet. So she did marry him out of love, and there's no foul play, so don't poke the bear. This is a prominent English woman. Don't piss her off. But at any rate, she was correct, and Dad didn't die right away. He starts sending her gifts from England to where we're standing now. One of those gifts happens to be the plant seeds of indigo. You guys have been in town? You've seen the word indigo somewhere. I guarantee it. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. Some of you are wearing it tonight. That's what we use it for today. But Eliza didn't know what to do with it when she got it. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. Obviously not warm here all the time, especially for you Maine folks. Believe it or not, it's not warm here all the time. Sorry, I don't know if all 3 of you are from Maine or not. But at the same token, once she figured it out from her slaves and learned how to make the dye, she turned it down to a cash crop, got a hold of her dad, and said, you know what, the rice plantations are going downhill. We're going to make a killing with the indigo. So now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times, which is something absolutely unheard of. Is it picking up the sign behind me?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. So, are you recording?
Yeah, he's recording.
Yeah, you'll see that little red spinny thing. So at any rate, let's get into the weird stuff, because the boring business stuff is exactly that. It's boring business stuff. She's prominent. We know that. She's important. We know that. So we're going to go through a series of questions with the spirit boxes so you guys know what kind of things you can ask. And these are things that we commonly get the answers to. So with yours, we're going to go very simple, and we're going to see if we can get what happened to the mansion. It's obviously not here anymore. If you get an answer, it's some kind of tragedy. I'm giving you that clue. When did that happen? It's a very specific date. If you get the answer of what, we will normally get 2 or 3 digits out of the date of when. So again, very specific numbers. So again, it's not like January 1st, it's something very specific. You can also ask about the age. I mean, I'm obviously asking you to listen for numbers. So that's kind of like a key thing for you. How old she was when she, got married to Charles, or you can ask how old Charles was. So see if you can get either one of those numbers. With yours, Donna, Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. So it's either really smart or really stupid, depending on how you look at it. Both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. Figure out which Eliza we're dealing with by asking what her maiden name was. You may even get the answers to some of the other questions that are coming up. That can happen as well. If you're not getting answers to the questions you're asking, somebody else might be. Not to mention, it could come through as an EVP on our 2 videos or my regular audio recording. You're going to go after her death. You're going to ask her how old she was when she died, what she died from, where she's buried, what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So very specific details. Notice that. Kind of keep that in mind. That sign is new. I don't know how long it's going to hang on, just so everybody knows. If it comes flying, duck. We're not using the millimeter, so I don't have to keep anybody behind at this point. With the millimeter, it actually has motion, so I kind of go in a little bit more detail with that person. It's not working tonight. I don't know what happened. But nice slow
another one
movements.
like
There are
back
vehicles
there.
in here, so we're going to
No,
spread
like,
out.
it's
Just don't
behind
go
the
near
sign.
vehicles.
Oh,
That's my
okay.
biggest concern. These cars belong to employees of places downtown. People come down here to take their break. If you see somebody sleeping, I will tell you that somebody caught on that I was giving part of my route here, and they put a clown in their front seat and backed up their car to freak out my people. So I thought it was hysterical. Most people didn't. So kind of keep that in mind. Just stay away from the vehicles. What I'm going to be doing is bouncing around with all of you. Did you guys hear anything while I've been sitting here talking?
I heard the number 75.
75. Nothing. You'll get used to it. You're going to get better at it.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those pieces where some people suck at first. It happens. So as the night goes on, you're going to get better. I'm just putting things in perspective. So
No offense.
yeah, and it's not like, this is something you're going to do on a daily basis like what I do. Like when I get her recording back, like that's the first thing I go through. What do you have, by the way? Kendall. I don't know who Kendall is. Whenever you want to see the word list, just hit the little blue box to the right of it, and you'll be able to scroll through it. So I like the word husband. It's vague, but at least there's something there. We might have the name Charles showing up on a spirit box if they're missing. So again, so far that's really the only thing I see that might be something relevant. I'm gonna definitely, I don't have to write your words down because it's doing it for me.
Right.
But I'll definitely dive into any names or numbers that pop up on there that I don't like normally see. I'm like, oh, what's that mean? Do I have something new? Especially if it's something I don't see on a common basis. Have you heard anything else? 75 is what I like though. We're gonna see if that's gonna turn into something else. We'll kind of take it from there. It's not specific enough for me at this point, but we're going to take it a little bit further and see what else you guys hear. So nice slow movements out of that thing, Cohen. But yeah, let's spread out. I'll be bouncing around with all of you, seeing what we got going on.
Okay. What about Mommy?
Huh?
Where's Mommy going?
We're just walking right in this parking lot. Hold on.
Did you get something? You got 2.3 is what I saw.
Yeah, I got like 2.3 to 2.7.
Should we tell him? He said if he got over 2.5. Remember? I just saw a stick figure over there.
So it picks up shadows
Huh?
too.
Yeah, that's why I didn't tell you about those because everybody was standing there.
Stay in this area to tell him.
Huh?
Stay in this area. Just slowly record around this area, and we'll tell him.
Why don't we
it's
tell
all
him
there.
2.7?
Well, that's what we'll tell him. But right now he's talking to that gentleman.
I'm looking for if I see anything like in one of the windows.
Mm-hmm. And so it'd be right around in here.
It would? Oh. There was a stick figure that keeps appearing and disappearing.
That's a giant one, though. That has to be.
Yeah, that's probably that shadow. That. It's probably that shadow.
Yeah, I think that's what it's picking up. You want to walk?
Yeah. I just noticed this. It catches trees.
Yeah, it catches trees. So the ones over there, I think it was catching up the light from that sign.
Huh?
The one that you saw over there that was kind of up in the air. Just when the sign behind you.
Oh, yeah. Probably. But what about the one, like, right next to that
Well,
car?
he'll check it.
I don't know.
You gotta move slow, remember. 2.7, like 2.2, 2.9. Okay.
Now we don't have a whole notebook full of numbers.
Okay.
The average spike for this location, just so you know, is about 18 to 22 with no electricity running through. Just so you know.
Yeah, we hit because it went 2.7, 2.9, and then it went like 3.3, and then it just dropped to
3.3 is good, so don't give me anything below that. Again,
we just went 3.2.
we have a little bit of something going on. I expect these little tiny jumps. It's when we start getting above 22, you're going to see me like super excited.
Okay.
So, anything coming up on the stick figure?
I saw something like right in there.
So we got a lot of signs over there.
Yeah.
So it's a good possibility that you may have picked up the signs.
Mhm.
So, but I figured that would keep him occupied. And the cool thing is he can actually help Mom out with the spirit box. She has an extra earbud. So that's part of the reason why I set it up the way that I did. Well, we're going to be on for 2 hours. It's going to be tired looking at a green screen for 2 hours.
That's what he does.
I know. Trust me, I raised 2 kids. I get you. Now what do you got? Leanne, what have you been hearing?
When I asked how old she was when she died, I thought I heard the number 38. Don't know.
She was not 38.
Okay. Oh, like I heard the number 38, but
She's much older than that.
oh, that's good.
And again,
I thought I heard another number right here.
and it might not always just be like names and numbers. Even if you hear something silly, like buy a Kia today, I want to know that you heard buy a Kia today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like all of it. Because again, they might be asking questions you don't know about.
Yeah.
So that way, if it comes up over here,
Okay.
you might get the answer and they don't get it.
Okay.
Again, that's why we throw so many devices
So
in this.
anything that comes through.
Anything. If you can make it out, I want to know what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like that.
Okay.
What other questions did you ask?
How old she was when she died. What color was the indigo dye?
What's India?
What city that we're in.
Oh, yeah. Ask her
How she died.
how old she was when she got married.
What president was the Paul?
Oh, yeah. What president was the pallbearer at your funeral?
You having fun?
Yes.
You like it?
Yes.
It's like something to keep up with, isn't it?
Yes. I mostly watch the EDMF tape. Because they say it's the easiest one to use because all you do is just hold it. And if it hits like red, then that means there's definitely a ghost.
How is it matching up? I'm also waiting for the Charles things like that. A little something a little bit more specific, but he heard founding fathers. Again, Charles was like,
Yeah, I still don't know about that line.
So I think it's picking up the shadow from the light through
Yeah.
the tree.
Yeah.
why you're here. That's crazy coming up on his
No, he keeps on, but I think it's picking up the light behind, because that's where it's right on that sign.
Gotcha.
Isn't Sean?
Yes.
Yeah, it's right on that sign.
That's actually relevant to another location. It's not close enough for me to say that it's relevant.
Okay.
Have you been over here, Mom?
Huh?
Yeah, got anything else?
I heard as soon as possible, very clearly. Did you notice?
We're going to see a lot of stuff right here because there are all the shadows and the trees and then the cars passing.
Doug, you got any other writings up there?
1.7 right now.
Wait, so what you do with that is all you do is listen to commercials and the
It's just
answers, and then,
Radio stations over and over.
and then you have to hear through it.
Yeah, so like the volts per kilohour, whatever that, I don't understand it yet.
Okay.
So it's the milligauss that
Okay.
I understand and can comprehend.
Yeah.
So if you're switching it, there's two different modes with milligauss. So
Yeah,
it's
that's what I was trying to go back and forth
weighted and
between the
standard.
two.
Yeah,
And that's what, like I said,
Got
we
it.
never got over.
perfect. Yeah, that's 3.0. All right, Leanne, let's rein it in.
Do I stop recording?
Uh,
Do I stop recording
yeah,
or
I
no?
think you can stop recording.
Point it that way, Cohen. But point it that way to see if any ghosts are going to come by. So if you want to hold it like a suitcase, you don't have to watch it. You can just kind of hold it down. There you go. Just hold it by your leg. Those are the best things that we can get because he's going to be pretty still by holding it that way. Let me see what's going on. So everybody's going to be staring at your legs right now, just so you know. But anyway, this used to be called Duelers Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So we are not going to spread out in this location like what we did previous. This is just so we can kind of stir things up. We're going to hopefully get bleed over at the next location because it's literally across the street that way. So again, it's nice to see how a duel went down when you're actually in the alley. So here's how it goes. We all tell the same story, just so you know. You're going to hear it a little bit different from me because you need different details for the spirit box work that we're doing. You're ghost hunting, not campfire marshmallow. So you guys get the point. There's a doctor that moves to Charleston from Rhode Island. He comes down here. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. For those of you with spirit boxes, if you hear the song Brown Eyed Girl, it is not a coincidence. We get it here all the time. So, with that being said, he comes down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney walking around with all of his cash. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. He tells Amanda, get rid of that doctor. So Dr. Ladd comes to Charleston to prove that he's not after Amanda's money. As he's coming into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. So it wasn't a good start to his stay here. Somebody was walking by. His name was Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop there for a second because Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. RI shows up on the spirit boxes a lot. I actually have a brand new device they just invented last year called it's called the Envoy, but it's like a digital Ouija board. This is the reason why I got it, to see if we would get the letters RI at this location. We've had it on more than one occasion. We've had it for about 6 months now. So I'll just put that out there. But anyway, Ralph tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. So why don't you come with me? I got friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there, rent a room, and you'll be safe. Dr. Ladd took him up on the offer. They became friends. Very simple, right? The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point. He's not after Amanda's money. So Amanda gets wind of this. She's moving down soon so they can get married. Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor. Men actually whistled back in the 1780s, just so you know. It was a thing. I will also tell you that any haunted city you're going to visit in the future has a cliched whistling ghost. We all have one. We actually have proof of this one, and I'm going to get to that one. Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. This is the way the hierarchy works. We talk about the plays on the way home. So one night they go see Richard III from Shakespeare. They're arguing over the new actress that was in town. Ralph thought she was, Dr. Ladd thought she was fantastic. Ralph not so much. The argument that they had turned into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiance back home in Rhode Island. It got very ugly. They went their separate ways. Now, Ralph has friends here, like I mentioned. So he goes to his friends at the newspaper. He puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a year of disgrace to society kind of mentality. Doctor saw the ad, rebutted with, we're going to go to Dealer's Alley. Somebody came down, they took their 10 paces, turned, Dr. Corner was running in the air. He didn't want to join him. He didn't have the courage and bravery to show up to the light. So, that's what he's on their side. Just so you guys all know, now that you appreciate it more, no offense. The smaller group, that's one group pulling one guy. It's crazy. But anyway, so he shot his gun in the air, didn't want to kill his friends, but Ralph has his one bullet. Puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Dr. Ladd didn't die, but Ralph proved his point that he's still pissed off. Ralph's friends pick him up, they carry him home, take him to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later. He refused medical treatment, probably due to the fact that he is a doctor and a different kind of bullets back in 1786. He's probably more worried about the bloodletting that you actually had of letting the lead poisoning out. We did have the word bloodletting show up while we were at Pinckney Mansion. I didn't think we were close enough to call it anything relevant. Again, in here, I would have definitely said yes. For sure. But it is one of those pieces where every ghost story that comes down here tells you to listen for the whistles, right? So we're using a voice recorder. You don't need to listen too closely because it's being done for you. I will tell you that if you're going to come down here on your own, go all the way through the alley, use the voice recorders on your phone. Just keep in mind every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street throws a whistle right down the alley. I do it every single night, just so you know. We actually passed my garage on the way here. I actually got booted out of here a few years ago. I'm going to get to that because that's the funny part of the story. And it actually tells you why we're going to where we're going to next. But it is one of those things where I always throw a whistle every time since I've been booted out of here. I used to tell the story outside the alley to make sure I wasn't disrupting the neighbors. So here's how I got booted out. This is the fun part. You ready for this? You ready to giggle a little bit? The alley didn't come all the way through. It was actually cut off between us and Cumberland Street about halfway. It's because this is where they kept the livestock. So cows, chickens, kind of things were down here. It was called Cow Alley. So again, it was cut off, which means those bricks are older than the bricks we're standing on. So those bricks on the other side are sun-dried bricks from slave children. You guys already picked up, I'm all about history. I always point it out, regardless of the diversity of my groups, because we all need to see how far we've come away from slavery. However, there is a handprint down there in one of those bricks from a slave child. You can see it. It's very visible. And there's also fingerprint swabs. Well, I don't think that kid's hanging out over there because I treat it the same way I do a grave. Right? The kid's not there because that's not where he wants to be. He's going to stare at the brick that he put his handprints in. My group on November 26th of 2020, full group of 10 by the way, is huddled around this brick waiting for something to happen. I'm trying to shoo them along because of the belief, and it's outside the kitchen window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. The new owner of the mansion came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because she was on the tour that night, and Dad's going to know that. So we moved on. November 27th was Thanksgiving that year. I don't pour on Thanksgiving because I worked in retail management for over 20 years, mainly for Walmart. Feel my pain. I don't work Thanksgiving ever again. The next day, the 28th, I get a phone call asking me to go down halfway, which is what we're allowed to do because of the boundaries, or reroute my group. I decided I'm going to reroute my group because the rest of my tour is down the opposite end. So I told my tour, I don't believe in this next story. We're going to see what happens. I never have any evidence there, and it's a pirate story. I'm a vampire guy, so we're going to see what goes on. Before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. I didn't tell that group who we were going to be investigating. The famous female pirate Anne Donna. So I'm like, damn it. So we get down there. I told a little bit about pirates in Charleston that I did know because I had to do some quick research that day. And somebody else heard the number 300 on a separate spirit box. I don't know what that means. I write it down. I researched the next day. Turns out we were there November 28th of 2020. And Bonnie's trial for piracy, November 28th, 1720. And we were there on the exact 300th anniversary of the pirate trial. So yeah, now I got to learn about pirates. Now my library is a good portion of my bookshelves are pirates and how to debunk them. So luckily for you, I have a master's degree in creative writing. Trying to piece together a factual investigation based on pirate lore can be very difficult. So again, everything we're going to be discussing at our next location is going to be based off a minimum of 2 resources. Keep in mind, spirit boxes and communication devices, we may actually have clues from Philadelphia Alley as well. So I'll be looking at kind of both ends of things to kind of see how things match up. So just a very interesting spot. We're either going to have a lot going on or nothing going on. It is a hit or miss because Anne Bonny is said to be seen all over town, and I'll I'll explain why we go to that specific location and why we're there. So this will be another interactive type ghost and where we're at. So it's just one of those pieces where we stir things up, and then we're going to hear from Dr. Ladd a little bit more as we move along. So, any other words that showed up on your word list before we leave?
Inspector, female, Adam, Jonathan, farm, trick, factory, listen, Jessica.
Like listen, that's the only one because it's the whistling dog. Just be mindful, we've got another group coming by just so you know. Anything that the two of you may have heard where we can Hester. Holy cow. That's, but we are next to a cemetery. Anything I got the power. I got the power. I'll take it. It's fine, right? Excuse me. I was thinking chat at that point. So, we're talking about so here's the other interesting thing why I like to stop specifically at this gate. Remember that the alley goes all the way through that way? This was the transition to get over to the cemetery in the event that there was a losing trigger. So the gate wasn't there. So if somebody died during the duel, the cemetery is on the other side of that wall. So this was a shortcut. Otherwise, it had to go all the way down the Queen Street and then back around with a dead body, which could be heavy. So this was a shortcut. The gate was probably put here in the early 1900s. So just kind of keep that in mind. The archway is definitely early. So a very interesting little fun fact that these other guys probably don't know about. I don't even remember where the hell I found it, and I've never found it again. But it was like, I'm writing that down because that's super cool. I talk about death all night. I talk about people dying and going to the cemetery. All right, ready to go learn about pirates? This is a crazy story, and I'll keep it PG-13, I promise. It's a female pirate. It gets a little dirty. We're going to go back out the way we came here. Stop with that camera in here. All right, so anything crazy going on? Devices? Donna, we'll start with you.
Charge, vendor, taste, tumor, secret, limitation.
Ooh, I had
She had a secret along
Yeah,
the way
secret
here.
too. Okay. Inspector.
Got an
Did I
inspector
say-
again?
okay, I couldn't remember
Unless there's a
that.
second one.
Nope.
That-
Nope, same one. I couldn't remember where I left
You have the word
off.
gadget after there? Like Inspector Gadget?
There's somebody. There's a ghost in the porta potty.
Is the porta potty. That's a ghost thing too, so I'll be using that later.
He's like, just leave me alone.
Any crazy phrases coming out of you? And I already got yours, so you're good. All right, perfect. So we're here in the back because the other ghost tours like to cut through as you just saw. So I just like to stay out of their way. This is a little bit of a lengthy story. Again, I'll cut out certain things because of our age group and our party tonight. So we're here because of the little tiny building over there behind you. That is the Gunpowder Magazine. So it's a museum now, so if you ever want to spend $5 and learn about the architecture of the place, it is fascinating. But anyway, we're here because those are not crosses on the building. Those are earthquake bolts. If you're unfamiliar with earthquake bolts, they're basically turnbuckles. So if we have another earthquake, like what I mentioned earlier, they can turn the turnbuckles day by day and tighten up the building so it doesn't incur any further damage. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. The reason I bring them up is because that's the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in. Why? It's the oldest government building we have in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. So we're here because this building is familiar to the time frame that Anne Bonny came here to start her new life. So
That
it's kind of like
is
if you
now
watch
gone.
the TV shows, it's like the teddy bear that they use to kind of attract or interact with a child host. It's the same principle. This is what I call a familiar. We don't have many buildings around this time period, but again, this is where one of the spaces where we're allowed to be, and I've caught some pretty significant evidence in this location. So
I think
once
it's
give you the
just
history of the
those.
space, we will spread out.
I think
like
it's
what we
just
did at
those
the Hickman
there
Mansion
since
site. But again, this is a very unique story. So, and this is not a prominent English woman. We won't have to tiptoe around her. Poke the bear, get Anne to give you some damn answers here. So Donna's like, hell yeah, I want to poke the bear. So our story begins right in the middle of the building's construction. 1713 was when this was finished, but it took 10 years to complete its building. So it's a government building. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. Sorry if any of you work for the government. I actually had like some kind of FBI, CSI guy on my tour a few weeks ago, and I said that, and he's like, watch it, buddy. I'm like, whoa, hang on. But anyway, at any rate, our story, I know.
We could do it in 8.
The story begins right in the middle, 1708. Follow me, there's a lot of twists here. I'll slow down on the twists so everybody grabs them. A young lady named Anne Cormack moves here from Ireland. She's with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far? The three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How mad was she that she got to leave Ireland to come here by the boat in 1708? Just like to point that out, fellas. Keep the ladies happy. So, with that said, they land in Georgetown. That's obviously not Charleston. That's just north of here. So in between us and Middle Beach. Dad bought a plantation. Mom died pretty quickly. So that means he's sending young Anne down here to be able to sell anything from the plantation and keep things afloat. Hence the familiar building. Now, let's take a step backwards to Ireland for a second. Anne was said to be kind of a badass. They say she killed one of her servants with a knife to the belly when she was only 7, 8, 9 years old. Remember, it's pirate lore. Nothing's going to be exact. So, again, just want to put the mentality of this young lady in your head as we go through her quick life. So, 1713, the building's finished. 1715, pirates are coming through town. Anne is stoked because she's going to fall in love so she can earn her freedom just like a man. So that it was a man's world at this point. So, guy number one. We're going to count them because there's a handful. James Bonney. You already see where this one's going, right? Dad didn't approve. They'll be pirates. They go to Jamaica. They got married. So now Anne Cormack is Anne Bonney, the famous female pirate. But James is not Captain Jack Sparrow like what she was hoping for. This guy's a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward in her eyes. This isn't who she wants. A few years later, she falls in love again. Guy number two. John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is the person that they based your Johnny Depp character off of, just so you know who this guy is. Calico Jack has his own ship and wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on a pirate ship. Does anybody know why? Think family friendly. It's bad luck. So it's a curse to put a female on a ship. So again, I say family friendly because I've had some really nasty answers from that one. But at any rate, he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and look like my crew, you can be part of it, but you're going to be a girl in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. She's good. But being a female in his quarters, most of us are adults, put two and two together. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl, and then they're going to get Jack off the ship. Jack decides, before she starts the show, drop her off in Cuba. Have the baby, come back later, we'll figure it out. She goes and has the baby, but returns with no child. We have no idea what happened to this baby. Ironic part of the story is that she comes back dressed as a female. This makes Jack pretty angry. Now everybody's going to know he's a girl on the crew. While she was gone giving birth to his baby, he captured another pirate cruiser down below deck. She's going to go flirting with that crew because that's who Anne is. We're on guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack captured. Now we have 2 females, dressed like males on the same ship, trying to be pirates. This young lady's name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Her and Mary became friends, possibly lovers. We're not going to really know for sure, but the British find out where they are. They send a fleet of ships to come take them out. Anne and Mary, rumor is that they were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with 1-bullet flintlocks, kind of like the same guns we talked about with the dueling story. Obviously, 2 ladies with flintlocks are not going to be able to take on a fleet of ships. They get arrested. As they're being arrested, she looks at her captain, her beau, Calico Jack. She says, "Sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't be hanged like a dog." So the word dog shows up here a lot on your spirit boxes, just so you guys know. The judge wants to see the 2 quote-unquote men that fought back by themselves. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight. That's on November 26th. 2 ladies go in front 2 days later. They reveal their gender. He doesn't give a shit that they're female. They're still pirates. They're still going to hang them. So, we plead our bellies, was the last thing they screamed out, because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging, and Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He was an attorney back home. So he bails out Anne, brings her home, she remarries. Husband number 2, guy number 4. We're going to count Mary. We don't really know. She has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt ending. Mary Reed, that was a year later. Where did start from? In Jamaican jail. Most books and articles will tell you that it was something very simple, like fever, or something very simple. Let's make it romantic. Let's call it scurvy. Why the hell not? Let's make it bumpy and gross and whatever else you guys want to come up with. So, 2 questions I left out of here on purpose. Everything else is fair game. I just wanted to give you guys something to start with when I put this story together. I left out the name of Anne Bonney's parents. That's the father and the mistress. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship. So try to find out what those 2 things are, or if you want to go rogue, just make sure they're not yes/no questions, or how she felt about something. I can't prove feelings. So if you find something and you get a direct answer, if you have anything coming up, you've been staring at that thing for a minute.
Just post competition. Did I say charge before?
Yeah, I think you did actually. We will also, with the motion sensor, it actually gives us color. We're not using it tonight, but we will be able to ask Anne Bonney what her hair color is, and she would show us on the motion sensor, because the only way to get a red out of it is to touch the motion sensor. So it's very interesting, and we would get it on command. windy night, we probably wouldn't even be using the motion sensor anyway because of all the dust in the air that was in your guys' eyes earlier. So again, I don't expect a whole lot of EMF out of this space. The closer you go that way, we have 2 electrical poles, parking meters on the other side of the bushes. Don't get excited if you get over a 3. I will be excited if you get something like, let's say, over a 7 on that half or above a 5 on this back half. So kind of keep that in mind. A couple of things we actually hear a lot of here is the song "Girls Just Want to Have Fun." So we get it a lot. So kind of keep in mind, this is a fun pirate lady. Let's have some fun with this one. Wow. All right.
Questions
For parents
name?
and Calico Jack ship. Again, everything else fair game. Ask whatever the hell you want to.
Okay.
So yeah, spread out. Let's have some fun in this
I
one.
got the numbers 3 and 2. And literally, right as you said ship, it said ship in my ear.
3-2 ship.
That's weird.
As soon as I said it.
Yeah.
Okay. So your camera in this location, Josh, actually didn't act up. When I first started doing this, I had very small. So I'll give you that and the respirator dock. The person is filming me and just a pile and one film.
See anything, bro?
Not right now.
Listen.
Look, ask her what color her hair is.
I think it would be red.
That's Cyrus is red-headed.
Come on. Daddy. Come here. Right here.
You see something there?
Huh?
Is it still there?
No, I saw something on that building.
Oh, okay.
Any readings, Doug? You weren't screaming at me, so I figured.
Nah, we got over there was around just below 5.
Yeah.
Right in here, it's like 1.2.
Electrical poles. Anything coming out of there? Oh, really? Okay. I'm not like accusing you of anything. It's just sometimes when I get, because you're very stoic, you're kind of hard to read. Yeah. So like normally, I mean, even Doug over there, I know he's a disability, but he's having fun. You know, he's watching. You just smile. What's going on? He's the guy who dragged you. So. It happens all the time. I would say I probably get that building or something along those lines, just to make it very specific for you. But I don't know who Karen is.
Okay.
You might be coming in on tomorrow next.
Okay.
I don't look at those names because I want to make sure I have your guys' names memorized and you're in the moment. So, now, granted, after I send you your link tomorrow, all of your faces and names go away because I need to focus on the next one.
Right.
Not that you're not important to me, but you guys get the point.
And you'll never forget this one.
Now. Oh, fair enough.
1:30.
No complaining. It's just
Okay.
that's all.
We have one more space after this. But again, it's like once you realize when I tell you how much time we spent together, you're gonna be like, really? It's one of those. Like you're gonna look at the end of it and go, holy cow. Because I don't pay attention to time. We just go until stuff stops happening.
Yeah.
And then we move on to another space. So, Cohen, how's it going over there?
Good.
What do you got on there? Any ghosts?
I saw something on that building.
That building?
Like over around that building.
Okay. Now I'm going to tell you right now, there's like 15 stories on the street corner. You see all these ghost stories? None of us are telling the same story. So again, when I know most of them, so when something else pops up, like when you give me like 3-2, and I'm thinking of it as a date, like March 2nd, I have to stop and think, like what's going on with March 2nd around these other stories. So that means if something does pop up, that's where things kind of can go awry. I have a staple route, but sometimes it's a little different. You know what I mean? That's why every night for me is completely different from the next. So, but again, this is the first night where that's the only EMF detector that we're using. So again, it's very interesting to watch, especially somebody like you that wants to have fun and see something happen, that you're playing with it, and I'm like, yeah, good, he's flipping the dial, you can figure it out, don't be afraid of your device.
I heard Jonathan.
I keep getting the babe that song's there, but nothing is there.
It's good. Remember, be slow with it.
Mm-hmm.
Doug, did you get a chance to listen in on that thing?
No, I haven't. I will. She'll tell you.
I just got 20.
20 is good. How did you hear it though? Was it just by itself in a year?
No, it was just like 20, and then it switched to a different.
That's part of the date of the trial then, 1720. So if you were to hear like 2023, I'm going to discount it because it's too common.
It was just very, very
Awesome.
quick.
That's why
I heard 2023, but I figured that was way too.
it's too easy.
Yeah.
I just got it's good to be back. Did you not hear that?
I was telling my story.
Oh.
She said shut up. She didn't hear it.
Yeah.
I hear better, man. A little bit of Pearl Jam in the background.
So
Everybody.
here's the problem is when it comes to songs, I make up my own lyrics anyway.
Yep, he does.
It's never going to be anything that I tell you that's accurate.
So it's not girls just want to have fun. Who's really having
Like,
fun?
Milkshake.
Leanne is
bring on
like,
voice
hey,
to the yard.
realize that that's not the words of the song. Right?
What's funny, just so you guys know, on your face one night, we went back while you
I saw something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw it too.
there's
Well, keep recording. Maybe it'll come back.
Look, keep watching.
Yeah, we gotta keep watching. Somebody was joking around and heard hands on my knees. Awesome.
That was pretty cool, pal.
And it disappeared. I'm gonna actually put myself in view, so keep recording. Just wanna see what kind of depth we're looking at. Can you guys see me?
Yeah, so it would have been like
Further back.
almost to the wall.
Yeah.
Anything else? Can you still see me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty far. Like, that's a good 100 feet, yeah? Am I guessing about that right? About 100 feet?
Oh, wait.
Oh.
There's something.
Wait.
Right
You
here.
see something that like keeps flashing?
Yeah.
Yeah, something
The sun right there.
So I'm gonna guess that some of the plastic
Yeah, that's what I
Like
thought.
over here.
Yeah, but now before it was right in.
Now, normally I would say like any kind of branches or any specific elongated thing is going to pick up. There's nothing elongated on
Well,
the
and
wall.
it was like, I mean, it was body shaped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was.
Well, we'll lighten it up and we'll see what we got out of it. At this point, to make sure we don't lose it, hit your stop button and it.
No.
Perfect.
No, it's just
Like
showing me the coolest
right
point.
there, and then what I saw was like right there.
Like right there
There
again.
it was
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, the plastic is probably going to cause a little bit of motion over there, just like what we had with the porta potty. Same principle, but with that wall, like I would imagine he would have been picking up that tree that's above the wall, but he's
But
not.
no, it was body
Yeah, it was
shape.
down
right,
low.
It had, like,
he's picking it up below.
Yeah.
But I would expect an arm going up, a torso, and then maybe a few, other things popping out. But I mean, he had a body shape over there.
And so when you walked out closer to it was on that same plane, like
Nice.
that you were on.
Anything else being heard?
I had 65 like probably a minute ago, but in the middle of that.
I'm terrible at this, so I can't. Like I'm hearing all kinds of stuff.
So here's,
It's chaos, yeah.
I got a little something. I can't say I'm 100% on it, but John Calhoun is buried on the other side of that wall.
Oh.
So we have Jonathan. We're in the month of March, and I can't remember the exact dates, but he was born in March, died in March, and I want to say the year he died was 65. So if we have the full date and the name Jonathan, like I'm gonna be like, that's all super cool.
Yeah.
However, if I'm wrong,
Jonathan Calhoun.
then we still have Jonathan and the number 3, the month of March. So again, I'm gonna dive in and see where my research gives me the exact numbers to kind of verify it. But again,
There it is again.
Yeah.
But it's down
also
low.
everything he's finding is on that wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Is
it's
that
down.
a solid wall?
It's a brick wall.
It's a brick
behind the
wall.
ivy.
Yeah, it's a brick wall. Cause you can see the.
Because I was like, maybe it's picking up something behind it if it's just like a fence with ivy.
I was wondering.
No,
if
hold
there's
it there.
leaves Or some sort of artifact that way, but
It's
Yeah,
like
but if he's getting like a bodily figure, is what it
Yeah,
looks like.
and that's what it was again.
That's where, I mean, if it was the leaves, he would probably have multiple dots with a bunch of scrambles on there.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he's getting a bodily figure. Now,
You want
here's
me to
the
go
other-
closer with it, Kevin?
Yeah, definitely. Let's walk
No, walk.
slowly towards it.
There's.
that
It's
might have
okay.
been the bottom.
Yeah, okay. Here.
We're
I'll
right with
walk
you.
with
Yeah.
Come on.
He's like, I don't want to go. I see your EMF meter.
it was like right next to the tree.
Add a little bit of a 1.5 over here.
Got stars.
Like nothing where I'm super like, oh my god, check out this reading. There was a 2-2. Maybe it wasn't against the wall.
The word under is on here. It's been here for a little bit.
Exciting nonetheless. I don't think we're getting it back because I think we may have gotten 2 clues. I don't have a reading other than that quick 2-2 that showed up. So I'll hand that one off to you so you can switch back with Dad when you guys are ready. All right, let's head over to the wall over there and get some answers. Kind of put this all together.
You don't want this anymore?
Like, nope,
Huh?
I can see him now.
You're good, man. I told you, Dave. They're more scared of me than you are of them.
You saw when he walked over there, it went away.
That was pretty exciting.
I got a 2-9.
A 2-9. Well, it'll come up once you get over here
No,
because.
like right there.
Oh, okay. Well, that was.
Alright, so I will tell you what's interesting about something being back there is I get a lot of psychics on this tour. They all see the same soldier standing over here by that bush. And they all point out the exact same location with the exact same description. I will tell you most psychics and mediums don't normally make it past the Pinkley Mansion site with me. It's usually too much information or too many messages coming through. But if they're here and they're not as practicing as say somebody who would call themselves a witch, I'll kind of validate them a little bit to see what they see here. If they all see the same thing, it's the same description, blue pants, white shirt. we're in the South. We should have great pants. Better. So if it's dealing with the Civil War, that's the outfit, the uniform they would be wearing. So again, I haven't looked into the other wars that this Powder magazine serving, the French and Indian and all of the other wars. But at the same token, I think of Confederate because we're in Charleston. So, go over the answers real quick. I'm just super interested to see, what that's going to look like lightened up. So if we have nothing but wall behind that figure, like we definitely have something going on. So don't have any other readings to go along with it or determine who the hell it actually was, other than maybe Calhoun, which is very interesting by itself. This is one of the few pictures you can find of Anne Bonny with a shirt on. The reason why is because she used to wear a breast to show men that they were just killed by a woman. Told you, she was kind of a badass. So I get a lot of teenage boys on this tour. I don't need angry moms. So this is why I have this picture. Anne's parents, William Cormack, Mary Brennan. Interesting thing about William and Mary is that they would normally show up in one phrase on a spirit box. So same person will come up to me and say, I just heard the term William and Mary. So it's always the same thing. So we didn't get either one of those names, and it wasn't a subliminal trick, by the way, because we do have Mary Read from the ship. Yeah. So again, it was just one of those commonalities, and it just happened to be that way. Everybody wants to see what they base Johnny Depp off of. And Donna's like, yeah, I do. So you're gonna laugh your ass off here in a minute. So Calico Jack, they named him that because of the jackets that he wore. The jackets he wore came from British captains that he killed. So these were fancy jackets. His father was a tailor, so textile was very important to him. So Calico Jack translates to fancy jacket. That's where the name comes from. The name of his ship was called the Kingston. So I don't expect the word Kingston to come through your spirit boxes. The word king would suffice here. This is where we have to use our technology and what we're going to be able to hear versus what's the actual terminology. Same thing with color of a red barn, blood. So Kingston, king, we're not going to hear Kingston here. Very, very not a common word for us. I would normally tell you another reason why I give the heated warning here, but Cohen's a little freaked out, so I'm not going to go into that detail. I will just tell you it is one of those pieces where I can't explain it. I had a transgender group on my tour one night, and one of them got sick. And again, it was two females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary in the story. And it was at this location. So I won't go into all the detail of it, but again, those are the uncanny things that I see and why I give those warnings. So it is just think about that for a second. The minute we entered here, that just started to drop. Like it was bad. And it was September, so it wasn't any different than what you're standing in right now. So it wasn't too hot, too cold. It wasn't out all day or lacking sleep. But yeah, very interesting, detailed part of that. And I usually tell that on a nightly basis.
I just heard kings.com.
Kings.com.
Yeah. So probably like the end of like draftkings.com.
Yeah, probably.
Still.
But yeah, you've heard the word kings, so we're gonna take it. I know it's stretched because I just said the word kings. But we're still going to take it because we have other clues. Again, I'm super interested in the John Calhoun piece just to see if something's going to pop up about that. But the next space we're going to go to is our last stop, just so you guys know. It is about 2.5 blocks from here, and we're going to be in Washington Park. By the way, where did everybody park, or where are you going after you're done with us?
We parked right next to
y'all.
right there on in that
so I
lot.
don't know how to get everybody back. What about you guys?
We're walking to King Street Hyatt Place.
Okay, so you would just go straight down Meeting and run right into it. You're perfect. All right, so we're gonna head over to Washington Park, and we got one more spot. Now, other tours might be in there. Hopefully it's not, and I'll explain why when we get there. But I hope so far you guys have realized you gotta know your ghost, right? So prominent English woman, don't piss her off. Pirates, piss her off. So it's just kind of the mentality. Philadelphia Alley, and what's weird is we can get anything relative to the doctor while we were here. So normally we get something. I'll also tell you on the recording of the Spirit Box, I've had in Philadelphia Alley where we'd hear a whistle here, we heard it from a song. And it's the only part of the song that we heard. So again, it's not coincidental to me when I hear it on a weekly basis. So take that for what it's worth too. Any other major questions on pirates? Because there's a ton of pirate lore about Charleston, and I've probably read every damn book on pirates that was ever written.
Do you know anything about pirates?
No. He's like, not anymore that I've seen them. All right, let's go learn about this bloody poet. This is a good ending story.
You wanna take this one, Kat?
Yeah.
It's about 0.3 miles, 2 blocks that way. So if we've had things relevant to that house specifically, I'll wait for something else very specific.
Okay.
I want to point out that there is a gentleman sleeping on the bench to your left or behind you. So we're going to just stay out of that area so that way we're all safe once we start exploring the space. First time I came here, this is a new space. I don't know everything. It's not a big lengthy story. It's very quick and brief so we can get to work. I didn't know what to find when we were coming in here. I experimented with a new group and I said I need to find a new spot. Let's go find a new spot for me to hang out for the next year. We came in, there's a million monuments, guys. Look around. I mean, we didn't know what we were going to find. What we did find, and normally I would take us straight over to that bust over there, to your left, but obviously there's another tour group nearby, but that's why we're here. First time we came in, the young lady using the spirit box heard the number 1828. It's obviously a very specific year. That's the year of that gentleman's birthday. We also heard the name Henry. That's that gentleman's first name. We also heard the name Tim. The gentleman's last name is Timrod. So we had Henry, Tim, 1828. Again, I knew I heard the story of Henry Timrod somewhere, so I was like, all right, we'll see what else we can find, and I'll do a little bit of research so at least I have a piece of history to tell. Here's
Was he
how it goes.
murdered by any chance?
No,
Okay.
it was
I just
not.
heard murder.
Was not murdered. Quick brief on his life. He was very sick for most of his life, right? So he's obviously alive during the Civil War, wanted to go fight for the Confederacy. He goes out to the battlefield, but his comrades realize he's too sick to fight. They send him home, knowing that he's a poet and a writer. And they say,
That's his
go be
hand.
the voice of the war. So he comes home, back to Charleston, and he starts writing poetry based on what was going on the battlefield. He became known as the laureate of the Confederacy. For us writers, that's a high prestige title to have. So very impressive. So, a few years after he comes home, he has a son. His son dies at a very young age and has a very unique birthday. So hopefully those of you with spirit boxes, you're going to find out what his name was, his birthday, and how old he was when he passed away. Very sad and depressed by all of this, he's still sick. 2 more years go by, and his college buddy calls him up and he says, why don't you come out to my cottage out in Columbia, and that way you can finish working on the piece you're working on for the paper in Charleston, give the wife a little bit of a break, and just work. So he goes out there, and that's where he wrote his last words. The last words he wrote were beholder of brief mortality, meaning person of short life. And then he coughed, and it landed on the page in a blood stain. That blood stain looks like a man writing. He had tuberculosis, by the way, in case you didn't figure that part out. So, the blood stain is actually kind of an infamous thing now. We all call it the blood book here in Charleston, and they only show it 1 day a year at the Charleston Library Society where his collection is being held. You have to be a member of the society in order to see the book, and that 1 day a year is on Halloween. Yeah, imagine that. However, the internet is beautiful. I'm going to show you the blood page stain book and show you where he wrote his last words. What I'm going to do after that is I'll read a very short stanza of his poem called Charleston to hopefully stir things up. This is a very shy, introverted writer. Know your ghost. So again, it's going to take us a few minutes to be able to figure out if he's going to be contacting us or not. I will also tell you the EMF readings we've gotten out of this space, 161 is now the highest one. In different grassy knolls of this area, it's been up to the 150s and well into the triple digits. So keep that in mind. You're going to have to find it because it changes every time we have found it. So we've only had the same location, I want to say twice now. So on 2 different grassy knolls, we found it in the same location. So let's show you the blood book first, and then I'll explain why we have the SLS camera, because this is the location of why we have it. Where's that bloody page? There it is. So we'll go around the room, and you can see where he coughed on the page. Looks like a man writing, beholder of brief mortality, written as his last line that he's ever written. So again, this is what we call the blood book. We have gotten his name, like I said, we've gotten the year of his birth, we've had coughing, we've had blood book, you know, in different phrasings. So quick little stanza, and it'll make sense. And what's funny is we actually caught one of the specific terms from this stanza in the spirit box recording from last night, even though I didn't read it last night. It was almost like he reminded me, like, hey, you forgot to read my shit. We know not in the temple of the fates, God has inscribed her doom, and all untroubled in her faith she waits, the triumph or the tomb. This was written right in the middle of the Civil War, basically stating that the outcome of the war determines the outcome of Charleston, the triumph or the tomb. We had the word tomb show up on the spirit box last night, and we missed it in real time. So take that for what it's worth. Now, as far as why we have that camera that Doug's holding right now, back in December, I actually had a guest bring me the original. Like, it was his camera. He wanted to test it out on an actual investigation. We had a full 8-minute interaction with a person standing right next to the bust inside the cage, taller than the cage. So when I say 8-minute interaction, Henry, is it okay if I read a stanza from your poem Charleston? Raise your right hand. His arm went up and came back down again. When I say 8-minute interaction, it went on like that as I walked around the same fashion that we did with Cohen at the last location to make sure we had a point of reference and to see how big this figure actually was. How he disappeared, I had a team full of men, except for one woman. Only woman in the group goes over and offers to shake Henry's hand, asking for him to outstretch it, and he disappeared. We have to remember the time frame that it came from. Probably disrespectful for a woman to offer her hand to be shaken that way. So again, we never got him back, and the camera stood still the entire time. I was the point of reference as I moved around, and we had everything. The guy didn't know how to record yet, so we used one of my cameras, an infrared camera, from another person, overstretching the guy's shoulder so we can get the footage, because he didn't know how to hit record. So the footage is actually up on my website. When you're going to realize we're going to talk about your data before we separate, but your data stays on my website for an entire year. So yeah, I don't hide anything. It's up there. So some of you are actually asking me about like all the evidence that I collect. It's up there. Go look. You want to look at a specific date? If I toured that night, it's up there. So it is what it is. But again, we're going to spread out. We're going to stay out of the way of the other tour groups when they pass through here. Obviously, you're going to be looking for really high numbers that we don't normally see in other spaces.
4.9.
4.9, so we're already on a good start. That's good. And again, just be mindful of the gentleman on the bench. So again, this is our last stop. Let's have some fun with this. Just be very gentle with how you ask things. He's a little introverted, so it might take a few minutes. Any words before we?
I have collective, jumped, chain, automobile, and I already told you about W and doctor.
I like W. That's a definitive thing. We've had that. I'm going to say we've had that before.
Yeah.
As we were walking
Yeah.
in, no less.
Yeah, it came up then.
So, and that monument right behind you is that of George Washington. So, again, we're in Washington Park. So, again, we do get things relevant to those two monuments over there as well at times. So that stone in the middle of the brick over there is like a tribute to Andrew Jackson's mother, Elizabeth Hutchinson. So we have had her initials and her name show up, and mother of Andrew, like we've had those kind of things pop up. And over there is Marguerite Balk. On the Ouija board device I explained earlier, we've actually had her name spelled out missing one letter. Marguerite. Think about that. What is it, like 9 letters in that name? So we were only missing one letter, and it spelled it out consecutively. It was not an anagram that I pieced together. It was spelling it out for us. So very cool stuff. But yeah, let's spread out, have some fun in here. Definitely, Cohen, you're the star right now again, because we're going to need to know where you're having all of those things.
Walk out in the grass too, though. I'll go in there.
Your dad will stay with you. Hold on, kid.
Is this something? Is it catching?
Yeah, something? Get you guys in view here and see it.
You getting anything, Cohen?
Another 4.1.
You're looking like they said that sometimes it can be up to like 150.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be like automatically or no though.
Washington. You seeing anything?
3.4, like right around the tree.
Come over here, Con. See anything?
3.2, about right there.
Okay. Oh, how about
1.9 right there, 2.6 like where you almost hit your head on the
where I
branch.
about knocked myself out?
And then 2.1 walking out.
Look how pretty that place is.
Creepy.
Creepy.
5.2.
Okay.
5.2 right there.
Okay. Well, we're looking for like real high.
Yeah.
You see anything real high? You walk over this way?
The highest I've hit is 5.2. See that sign? I don't know.
I think it's just shadows from the tree. You see anything?
No. Hit 3.4 right there.
So I was reading like all the monuments to see if there was anything with ivory. Yeah, like two right in a row, like ivory, and then like a little bit later, another time.
Colin got the highest you've had is what, a 5.4?
5.2 of this there.
5.2. Okay. I heard you guys had a little bit of a stick figure somewhere.
Yeah, so over, like, it looked like against that tree.
Against the tree, and then we don't know, but there was.
Yeah, I think that one was just a
Yeah,
shadow.
I think it was
Okay.
But that one stayed, I mean, it was probably 30 to 45 seconds.
Okay. Any movement from it, or just kind of like a full figure? Okay.
Yeah, like, I mean, it moved just a little bit, but not much.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
Well, I took a note to. I think it was
and
Josh told me you guys had a little bit of
yeah, and that's what I think Josh filmed. He recorded there while we were.
And like what I told him is I'd love to have all three cameras on one tree to have the same point of view, because only one of those cameras is going to pick something up.
Yeah.
You know, when I have the infrared out, you know, it's going to pick up the light from the LiDAR of what you're using, because it's light you can't see. So
Yeah.
it uses a whole different type of technology. But when I say, we've had nights where that thing has gone like absolutely berserk. And I'm
Oh,
talking
really?
about the one Cohen's using.
Mm-hmm.
That one's new. We haven't gotten a whole lot from it here. A couple of spikes of like maybe 10 or 12.
Yeah.
But the other one, 161, 157 are the two highest ones we've had.
Yeah,
And
that's-
it's unexplainable in a park.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason for it. names to show up. Henry, come on, man. Give us a little bit of something.
You haven't gone over in here, have you, Con? Come on.
4.4 right
4.4.
Yeah, like right there, it's fine.
Take a 4.4.
You want to walk over here? What? Okay.
Black velvet playing.
Huh?
Black velvet.
Is it?
What's that? 4.5 right there. Right here. 3.2 right there.
Trying to give you guys another minute. Again, he takes a minute to come out. But again, we've got a lot of tourism here. Yeah. So last night we didn't have anybody in here. It was just us, me and my group. And we actually had a handful of terms come up.
Leanne said she had black velvet playing.
Black Velvet.
Yeah.
I don't know that he was a drinker.
So I think it's because the tree
Yeah,
is
that's
showing.
definitely the tree.
Yeah. Now, before it was because we could see the tree and it was almost like it was beside the tree, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And it was like
on the tree.
it was like human form.
Okay. It
So-
wasn't just the dots that you're seeing.
No, it wasn't that.
Nice.
So, and like it almost looked like it was like leaning up against the tree.
Now, of course, you can't find it again. That's
Yeah.
a good sign. If you can't recreate it,
Yeah.
it's
Because
usually a
it was,
positive thing.
like I said, it was there for probably 45 seconds or so.
Kyle, you got anything at all?
Superstitions and
Superstitions. Let's find Leanne and Cohen and get them down here.
she said like 4
Hmm.
words.
Okay.
Hunter, drunk.
Camilla, equality, concern.
Yeah, I got nothing.
The drunk's probably me.
Oh, she heard Black Velvet, so. Leanne, you got anything else?
John and Jesse.
John and Jesse. Neither one of those are the wife's name or the son's name, so.
I
Yeah.
had a Jessica. Further back too.
Oh, you got what?
I had a Jessica further back too. Yeah.
Well, I'll look into some of the wives of the people that are here and kind of see if that matches up with anything. I think the most significant thing we had was a small 4.4.
He had a 5.4.
Oh, yeah.
Steps of the main monument
Okay.
just now.
Just now. So 5 point, we'll just say 5.0, because I think you gave me a 5.2 earlier, is that right?
And then I had a 5.6.
Like her W.
W? Yeah.
Maybe we got one.
I was wondering that Dr. Ladd and his friend that had dueled, you wouldn't happen to know the name of the actress they were kind of arguing
I
about?
don't, and I dove into that.
You did?
I did.
Because that's when Jessica came up with me.
Interesting.
And then I had Jesse.
Yeah.
So.
It is very. Yeah, I looked into a list of actresses that were traveling in that year to try to find where there are common things, and it was probably based on the same scenario of what we're dealing with here. I don't remember because it would have been probably a year ago. I couldn't find any relevance, but I'll definitely look at that name again and see if I can find that list again. Because again, I'll do some extensive things, normally double things. It just means shouting for attention. So that's, it's a good catch, the Jesse and Jessica. So see if I can find anything in 1786 of the traveling actresses that were around. There weren't many, so it's not a it's not a lengthy list. I just gotta, thumb through it. We do have a figure on the SLS camera again, almost like leaning on the tree, so I'm interested to take a look at that. And again, he said it looked like he was almost like leaning on the tree with a leg crossed. So again, we'll kind of see what I find on that. And we do have some footage of the tree and how it picked that up. So you're going to see just a stick, and then it kind of spreads off towards the top. It's not going to look like a person. So again, very interesting, and I'm still learning about that device. So again, it's going to be great footage for me to have a comparison. Yeah, you're picking up the people in the background over there.
Yeah.
All right, so I say we head over to that bench over there, and I'll kind of tell you how this is going to